2023. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craig.
You're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Tonight, 5 days after the double murder of John and David Ramnareis, rumors continue to swirl in Belmopan about the motive behind what had all the elements of a hit. Many of them point to what the brothers did or didn't know about the murder of Michael Williams, which occurred 2 days earlier in the same area. Well, we put those rumors up for the commissioner's consideration this evening, and in a late afternoon interview with Jules Vasquez, he completely shut them down.
The rumor and the report is extremely persistent in Belmopan and in other quarters as well, that the Michael Williams murder, yes, some narco element may have been involved, some drug peddling or something, but that this double murder was inextricably linked to that because of some perceived, perhaps, element that these people could have been witnesses or their security cameras or something like that. I'm sure you continue to hear these reports.
Yes, I continue to hear them, and again, I would say to the public that the information is not true. If a matter of fact, during the investigation of the Michael Williams' murder, the police didn't even go to the Ramnare's residence because they don't live that close by. It's quite a distance away. And so there was no need for the police to have gone there to interview them in respect thereof. And so the information that is out there in the public domain is not true.
We also asked the Compol about the accused Corporal Na's bold protestations of innocence when he was taken to Belmopan's Magistrates Court 2 days ago. The Compol took that question in stride, pointing out that, well, guilty men rarely say anything different.
Mr. Na has very loudly declared that he was wrongfully accused, that he is wrongfully accused. Your response to those very vehement protestations he made when leaving the police van to the court?
I am not Chester Williams. I'm somebody else. But I challenge you, Jews, to go and interview all the prisoners at prison who are accused of murder. I guarantee you every one of them will say that they're not guilty. It's just how it is. I'm not phased about it at all. We believe that we have the right person, and we will do what we can to strengthen the case.
And while the commissioner isn't moved by Na's vehement protestations of innocence, one thing that has faced him a little is the frenzy of speculation over former police constable Michelle Brown's claim that Elmer Na is a killer. She was accused of the murder of Farid Ahmad in 2017, but near the conclusion of her murder trial in 2020, she dropped a bombshell in court. In a statement from the dock, she said that it was Corporal Elmer Na who somehow got into the vehicle with she and Ahmad and then pulled the trigger that fired the fatal shot. Na was brought into court to testify, where he denied the charge and there was no evidence pointing to him. But with him now being charged for the Ramnare's double murder, which was carried out as a straight hit, many are asking whether former PC Brown was onto something. And the commissioner has heard the cries of suspicion that there was a cover-up to shield Na, who was at the time a member of his uncle Marco Vidal's special assignment team known as the SAT. Williams says he will go the extra mile to squash any errant speculation that there was a cover-up.
We are creatures of law, and what we do must be in accordance with the law. But I'm going to do the extraordinary because I want the public to see complete transparency. I have nothing to hide. I have requested the file from the DPP in respect to the Farid Ahmad matter. I will approach the Bar Association, and I was trying to call Dickie earlier. I did not get him. I tried to call Audrey earlier. I did not get her either. But I will try again to get both of them. And I will bring Audrey and Dickie and invite the media to go through the file with you all so that you can see what are the evidence that we have in the file and prove for yourself that it is totally inconsistent with Ms. Brown's account that she gave in court. I have no issue doing that for the public to read and truly see that we are not trying to cover nothing. If there were evidence to indicate that Na was involved or he had done something implicating him, believe you me, I would have had him from then.
Williams was the head of the Professional Standards Branch at the time and personally investigated the allegation that police elements were involved in the murder. The Supreme Court has ordered the government of Belize to pay damages to a police brutality victim of almost $250,000. The victim is Leon Duncan, who made our newscast in August of 2019 when police had to escort him to magistrate's court in a wheelchair on a burglary charge. Both of his legs were broken, and very early in his arraignment in 2019, he told the presiding magistrate that police officers, Constables McCoy and Williams, broke his legs and beat him in the face with a broomstick. They were responding to a burglary of an apartment and viciously beat him because he refused to disclose the identities of two men who were fleeing the scene of the crime in progress. In 2019, he appeared off camera on 7 News when he told us that he didn't know who the escaping persons were.
Yeah, and they handcuff me and they start kick me on my 2 knee and broke up my 2 foot. When they don't broke up my foot, I tell them they don't broke my foot. You understand? And they still no one left me alone. They still tell me talk. And I tell them I don't know the person there, you understand? And they start whap me up with one piece of broomstick. Pan top when they don't broke my foot. Whap me in my face. Fractured my nose. You understand? Yeah. After that, they come and bring me and pitch me in the hospital and tell me they charge me for a burglary. We don't have no knowledge about.
When I visited the scene, I spoke to all the neighbors. It's like another one of those housing, like a lot of houses together. And a lot of people came out and said, man, the police really, they beat your brother badly. And they said that police brought him there to beat him. So he was actually not jumping the fence, according to them. He was actually on the side that he said he was on, that he went for the phone. And they took him there and beat him. Blood is still on the spot. They said they pushed his face in the mud. They punched him in his face. They said they threw him in the pan of the pickup. They did him a lot of things. They kicked him all over. He was screaming. He was crying. My brother said the CIB officer literally took off his pants and was just beating him in his private parts, his private area. So, but all this while they were beating him, they were questioning him, and they were saying, you will talk, we will broke you up, you will talk, you know. So they were saying what they were doing exactly what they said they will do, all because they want this information from him. We will pursue legal action, of course, because I've seen this so many times, and God knows they will not learn any lesson. But the state that he's in, I believe that he is due compensation.
For that grievous beatdown, his attorney Anthony Sylvester filed a civil suit against the Attorney General, the Commissioner of Police, and police constables Marvin McCoy and Sheldon Williams. In their defense, the Attorney General's ministry said that while police were at the scene, at no time did they assault, batter, or harm Duncan. In his defense, Constable McCoy told the court that he was not even on active duty. An officer brought in to confirm this, however, admit on the cross-examination that he did not prepare a situation report for that day, and he could not say if the defendant was on duty or not. Constable Williams, the other officer accused of brutality, admitted to the court that he pulled down the claimant's pants to assess the injuries that he was complaining about, but he also denied assaulting or battering the claimant. The presiding judge notes that the police did not produce any documentation which recorded any details or actions taken or even a written account of what happened. Justice Showman then notes, quote, the only witness with a clear account of the events of that fateful night is the victim Duncan, a clear, cogent, and credible witness. The 4 police officers who are witnesses for the defense provide a confusing, evasive version of events with crucial details omitted that is simply not convincing. I believe that the police officers did assault him and are therefore liable for the assault and battery of the claimant, while the first and second defendants are vicariously liable for their acts as police officers acting in the course of their duty. Justice Showman then orders that Duncan's claim for damages for personal injury, pain, and suffering for an unlawful assault and battery by the 2 constables succeed. Additionally, the judge ruled that the defendants must pay $175,000 as general damages in 17 monthly installments. Justice Showman also ordered that the defendants must pay $8,522.22 in special damages. And finally, the judge ordered that the defendants must pay the claimant's court costs of $20,000. Today, the Commissioner of Police told us he is disappointed, not because of the judge's finding and six-figure award, but because of what his officers did.
Well, disappointing, not disappointed at the judgment itself, but disappointed as it relates to the action of the police that led to that particular judgment. We have been saying to police officers that we can do our job and achieve the same goal without injuring people, without brutalizing people. And as I have said before, one of the only ways to stop this is to amend the law, the Crown Procedures Act, to hold police officers personally liable when they go and do things that is against our department's policy and procedures. It should be deemed that they acted on a frolic of their own and should be held personally liable as opposed to the state. And if we do that, we're going to see less of these things. No, I am happy to say that over the past few years, we have seen a drastic reduction in complaints of police abuse. We also believe that with the usage now of body cams by police officers, that is also going to contribute to a further reduction in these complaints. But one complaint received is one complaint too much. And we have to make sure that we put a system in place that is going to discourage these type of actions, because the truth is the taxpayers will be the ones to pay. I wish I could get that $200,000 right now and put some cameras and other stuff in this area to make the people more safer. Now I have to take $200,000 to go and pay to somebody now because of the actions of the police. It cannot work.
It said that you, as a third respondent, are vicariously responsible.
Yes.
You accept that?
Certainly, if the court found that they were acting as agents of the state, then yes. As the commissioner of police, I'm the one in charge of the department. And then the state, via the AG ministry, represents the state.
Should these officers remain on active duty?
Well, I know that the matter is in the hands of PSB. I'll have to check to see how far they are with the matter. But PSB did in fact investigate that matter, and I'll have to see how far they got with it.
Is there anything personal you'd like to say to Mr. Duncan in terms of, you know, he's not able anymore? They say that he has been partially disabled because the injuries to his leg were so substantial. He has steel rods in his leg. Is there anything you would like to say to him?
Well, I'd just like to say to him that at the end of the day, what the police did was wrong. The court found that the police did do it, and the actions was not justified by law. And I am happy that the court found in his favor, and I would hope that the award he's going to get is going to help him to be able to deal with his injuries and recover better.
Through his attorney, we did reach out to Leon Duncan for comment, but up to news time that had not been forthcoming. But while the police lost that case for a six-figure award, they won another and perhaps escaped a similar outcome. It was a suit brought by former Police Superintendent David Chi and former Constable Norman Anthony, who in 2018 were accused of conspiring to land a drug plane in Blue Creek. That plane was found to have 1,200 pounds of cocaine, but in 2020 those charges were dismissed, and both former lawmen then proceeded to bring suit against the police department and the state. The case was heard during the summer before Justice Genevieve Chabot, and in a recently delivered judgment she found that they were neither wrongfully imprisoned nor maliciously prosecuted. Both claims were dismissed and costs were awarded to the defendants. The commissioner discussed the victory today.
Well, I am happy to see that the court had exonerated the police in that respect. I knew from day one that the judgment would have gone the way it did, for the simple fact that they were claiming false imprisonment. False imprisonment is not an easy thing to prove, as well as malicious prosecution. There are several factors that must be proven, and there were some degree of evidence against them. We had statements that implicate them in the plane landing, and it was on that premise that they were prosecuted. So, as the court rightly said, the police did have probable cause and good reasons for them to have been arrested and charged and prosecuted. And based on that, the court dismissed their claim.
But it has to be a bittersweet victory, knowing that the persons you all believe were responsible were found in a court to be not answerable to those charges.
But again, Jules, you know why. The main witness in that matter did not appear in court. We know why he did not appear in court. I'm not going to say publicly, but we know why he did not appear in court. And it was on that basis that we could not have successfully prosecuted that matter.
Agassi Finnegan and Jorge Matos successfully defended the government's case, while Misty Marin and Kia Diaz-Tillett brought the suit for Chi and Anthony. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll take you to Roaring Creek to tell you about the search for a young boy who is feared drowned tonight, and a tale of two homes, one new and one destroyed, and an area rep dodging missiles from the media.
You're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7. Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Last night we told you about the mishap that befell 8-year-old Luke Hansen, a resident of Roaring Creek Village. Reports to 7 News were that he went with his brother and a cousin to the river and ended up in danger of drowning when a canoe they were in capsized. It turns out we were misinformed. The 3 young children went to the river for a swimming outing with an elder relative. Multiple sources at the riverbanks told our 7 News team that they were warned to stay in the shallow parts of the river because the currents were strong. Unfortunately, one of the children reportedly led the other 2 to another slightly deeper part of the river that appeared to be steady. The riverbed was the Hansen could not be found. And now the family is faring the worst. 7 News traveled to Roaring Creek Village today, and Daniel Ortiz has that story.
This morning on the banks of the Roaring Creek intersection with the Belize River, we found civilians and professional search and rescue personnel engaging in day 2 of a search for 8-year-old Luke Hansen. It is believed that he drowned, and although these teams would have wanted to discover him alive, they were already preparing themselves mentally for the possibility that they would only be retrieving his body.
At the moment, we have many persons assisting us as well. We have the Coast Guard, we have the civilian population in the area who know this river very well, and they are giving us assistance as well. They have BSART, who is search and rescue guys as well. They are helping as well, and they are canvassing from Banana Bank up this way. We canvass down. We had divers in the key area where the incident occurred. However, with the water current at this moment, presumably the body has already moved. It's a small person, so it moved faster. And as you can see, the current is very strong. The water is rushing fast down stream. So what we are doing now at this moment is just combing to see whenever the body floats up.
Understandably, members of the Hansen family were distraught about the suspected loss of a very young loved one. And so, when we attempted to approach them for accurate information on the possibility of an interview, they made it clear that they weren't interested. But since we were getting second-hand and third-hand accounts with conflicting details, our news team thought it prudent to attempt to clarify with little Luke's dad, who was part of the search team. And since they were still in operation, I tried to reach out and speak with Mr. Hansen, who was in the middle of the river. While wading through the water to make it there, little Luke's uncle played the role of a blockade. He warned that the family had no comments to make. And if I tried to get any closer to his brother, the distressed parent, he would interpret that as an act of aggression and he would respond accordingly. So with such heightened emotions of rage, grief, and uncertainty, our news team had to back down and settle for conflicting accounts from Luke's relative, who brought him to the river, and another Roaring Creek resident who was present when little Luke went underwater. Both men said that they were instrumental in rescuing Luke Hansen's brother, 10-year-old Joseph Jr., and their cousin, who they know as Melin.
Me and my friend, we were sitting on the bank, so I'm chilling out, I think, so the little boy tell me, he said, uncle, he said, I go no cars are deep, no look over there. So the next big boy still carry the next 2 1, look over there deep. When I put my problem, so I sit down and when I look, the young lady here and tell me, Bossy, the boy jungle, so I reach here, I take out my pan, I think, I try to save the 2 of them, but I'm not going to save the next one because I'm so frightened. I'm not going to save the 2 of them. And when we dive, we never did find him. He did come up. Yesterday, I went home and they bugged me. And they bugged me, and I want to go river, and I want to go river. I want to go river because something about the river. I said, came a river, and I want to go. And I want to go and I swim in shore and find it. I thought cross and deep and over Wayana. And in Sitsigawayana, I went there with my friend, and I tried to save 3, but one time I grabbed the next one, I tried to throw up on the next side of the water. I saved 200, but I can't save the next one. I really feel bad because I can't save her.
I'm ready to sit down on this corner over here and when man tell me look down the stream, so when I look down the river, the creek, I always say 2 young boys, they go up and down, and I tell for him, one of his family there, that they look like the 2 young boys in the jungle over here, so I end up the jump from where I am there, and I jump in the water, and I save the 2 one. So when I save the 2 one, I never noticed the next one, me done gone before everybody. They go, the next one was me there. So like 3 of them me there together. I never noticed them 3 of them, but then the next young boy tell me that one next one supposed to they work in the water, and by the time I gone to go down the back, I never could have reached young boy. I never see no sign of him.
All members of this joint search and rescue team are determined to locate little Luke Hansen, and they will stay activated until they do so.
Our mission is to retrieve the body. So if we have to stay here until nightfall and come back in the morning again and assist until the body is recovered, then that's what we will do. We just, at the moment, we finish the dive part of it, but we'll maintain presence and comb the area, the riverbanks, until the body floats up and we could get the forensics and everybody come and do the part, no?
Reporting for 7 News, Daniel Ortiz.
As soon as there's any news of the discovery of Luke Hansen, we'll share that information with you. Back on December 21st, you saw some POP drama unfold between the Port Loyola area rep and the Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing. Long story short, Gilroy Usher and his constituent, Apolinario Chuck, had pulled out all the stops for a house handing over that never happened. Usher claims he was told on December 12th that it would be scheduled for later that month, and that he never got the memo 2 days later that it had to be postponed. And the Ministry Public Relations Manager explained that the reason is because the house wasn't finished since the contractor was busy painting Usher's house for Christmas. But after Usher's 20-minute rant against his own party and the ministry's response, the situation was rectified, and today Chuck finally moved into her brand new home with her 8-year-old daughter. But a number of things had to happen before the keys could have been handed over. Courtney Menzies was at the ceremony today and has this story.
About 2 weeks ago, 50-year-old Apolinario Chuck was told that she would be moving into her brand new starter home after decades of living in her dilapidated wooden house. But due to miscommunication, that house handing over never happened. But today, Chuck was finally given the keys, and tonight, she is finally sleeping under a roof that won't leak and walls that aren't rotted. But the last time around, there was confusion and frustration surrounding this new house, starting with the contractor, who was not able to finish it in time. The publicity manager at MIDH explained that he had to be terminated, and they now have a process for choosing a contractor.
The smaller contractors, one house is all they're doing, and we monitor them. Please understand, when they're new contractors, we give them one house and we monitor them for that. In the case, unfortunately, in the case of Miss Chuck's house, we had some issues. You have to understand, with small contractors, sometimes, you want to do something and you just are unable to understand what it's going to take. For MIDH, because they are working for MIDH, they are under a supervision that they are not used to. Minister Usher has now conceded that it is in his best interest, our best interest, the recipient's best interest, taxpayers' best interest, that we lead the charge in choosing contractors for these jobs. And we will go by that, doing it in a way where we are going to try to be fair and transparent, but we are also going to look at the quality of work that they've delivered to the ministry prior to doing this.
And while it seems the area rep Gilroy Usher has mended fences with the ministry, last month he had made some explosive comments about them. However, this time he refused to answer the media's questions, saying that it's all kumbaya between him and Minister Julius Espat. Were you able to get some clarity as to why the handing over didn't happen?
Well, I just want to say that we think positive and we are looking forward to develop the country, to develop the community. You cannot be looking in the rearview mirror. So we had a good ceremony here today. Everything was well organized. I personally thank the minister, his ministry, and all those who assisted in a way to make the starter home completed. And I think that is the important thing.
Okay, but the last time you did say certain things, such as you were disappointed in the Ministry of Housing. Today we heard a different tone, that there are now 4 more people waiting to receive houses like these in your area. So what happened between then and now?
But let me reiterate again, right? We are not in the business of looking in the rearview mirror.
But there must have been some discussion.
I'm saying that I'm not in the business of looking in the rearview mirror. If you are going to develop the community, if you are going to develop the country, you have to look forward. You have to think. All right,
By way of accountability, was there an error on your part? Did you do something wrong in having or asking the contractor to prioritize a personal thing as opposed to dealing with the house and finishing it?
Again, I've said what I've said over and over. And if necessary, then you all can repeat what I've said over and over. Just replay the tape.
I asked you now a specific question. Yes. The painting of your house, that's the question. Please answer that one. Was there something wrong with what happened there? Accountability, you are a public official.
In terms of the painting of my house, the painting of my house had nothing to do. The painting of my house had nothing to do with what Mr. Pot is a contractor. Many contractors are able to multifunction. They have more than one person doing different things for them. All right? I don't know of a contractor who will say, okay, I will build this house here, and because I'm building this house here, I will spend 24 hours with all my workmen on just this house here. Contractors are multifaceted. So whatever responsibility he takes them on with the full capacity, with the full understanding that he can do what is expected of him.
He's been dismissed.
I don't know about that.
And after that, Usher walked away from our cameras before the interview was finished. But while Usher didn't have much to say, the recipient of the brand new home was more than excited, especially after spending the holidays drenched in rain. How did you spend the Christmas? I know you had wanted to move in before Christmas, but you couldn't. So how did you spend the holiday season?
Well, especially when it rain, I pass it on rain. Everything inside is so wet. So I can't do nothing. I just have to leave it. But now that I have my new home now, so I feel really good that I want to sleep in our dry place now. It was worth the wait. Yes, it's worth the wait. Okay. Just people have to have a patience.
How long would it have taken you to actually get and move out of what you had?
Well, yes, indeed, I have a dream, but I can't do nothing because I can't help myself to have one concrete building because I no work. Now only my children, them provide something in the house. So. But now that they provide the house for me, so I feel like my dream come true out of nowhere. And thanks to the good Lord that it touched the hearts of the Minister of Housing and Mr. Gilor Osha.
And now your daughter is going to be raised in a good house that she can be proud of.
Well, yes, she feel like you're rich now. She got a big house.
Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
So far, MIDH has handed over almost 200 houses, and they are planning to do 50 more in the Borough Boom area early this year. When it comes to payment, though, Alamia says that there are some families who aren't meeting the requirements, and so the ministry will be speaking with them to find out the reasons for those late payments. And while Chuck will be comfy in her new home in the same Port Loyola area, an elderly woman is spending another night, essentially homeless. You've probably seen Lorna Nixon and her husband Ivan Swazo in the media before asking for assistance. The elderly couple could barely afford to eat, and their house was dilapidated. But their situation only got worse after Hurricane Lisa because it swept away their entire house. They're hoping that by coming back to the media, that they'll be able to get a roof back over their heads. Courtney Menzies spoke with them today and has this story.
The pile of sand that 75-year-old Lorna Nixon and her husband Ivan Suazo are standing on used to be where their house sat for over 40 years. It wasn't the fanciest house, but it was their home, right next to the sea. That is, until Hurricane Lisa swept in and the waves washed the entire house away, leaving all the cement blocks in its place. Now, Nixon says that she's in desperate need of a new house because her current living situation isn't suitable. However, she and her husband are unable to do much work because of their age and Suazo's health conditions. So now they're asking for any kind of help.
When the hurricane came, I began to the shelter, baby. And I gone and I be sheltered there. And I left the house with everything. And everything be gone and leave me. So I said, okay. So when I come back from the shelter, Mom, I meet the house is gone. I meet everything gone. So I said, I come back again. I lost all my clothes them. I lost all everything what you need. What I need all my clothes, all my mattress, all my everything I lost. Everything are gone. So Mom, I be suffering right now without a house. I be punishing right now, Mom. So I really need a house right now. So I said, well, I got to go back to the meet again. And I need a lot of help because I got no help right now. And I hope I could get a house back, for any times and things. And I wish God to help me to get back a house to me. I help people, man, and put me from a good, nice house and things, and come back to my land again, you understand? And mommy, I be suffering because back by my daughter, who she cussed me up, she's going on a lot of things with me. I got a hard time now because, nobody come out to help me no more. And nobody could come to look at me, and nobody could come to be see me, no, not all. And I be suffering, and I need a house very bad, Mom. I want to come back up to the place. I live here for many years. When I'm young, I'll be here.
I'm sick with asthma. I work at the market at Vernon Street, just from hand to mouth, make a little money, buy a little food to eat for me and the lady to eat. Nothing happening there right now. It's very slow. Yeah.
So you guys were already living rough before this happened?
Yes, Mom. It's very rough. It's a rough life we live. But God is still with us. We still have life. With all how we gone through, we are still here yet in this life.
And while this elderly couple doesn't have any phone numbers, they could be found in the Old College area of Port Loyola. Courtney Menzies, 7 News.
Currently, the couple is living behind the church in the Jane Usher area. Do you know which street is the most dangerous in Belize City? Well, you might want to say Antelope Street or Rocky Road or George Street. But statistically, in 2022, it was Pitta Street, which is between Antelope Street and the Lord Ridge Cemetery. That's why today the Commissioner of Police pulled in all command, patrol, and special unit police responsible for that area to say bluntly that they've been failing and it cannot continue. We met him out there reading them the Riot Act.
The truth is, Pitta Street was the singular most deadliest street in the country last year. And it is such a small street. We have police presence in the area, and my issue is how effective are the police? And I believe that the policing effort last year failed us. And I'm not going to allow that to happen this year. And so I brought the commanders in and made them understand that enough is enough. We cannot allow or continue to have the people of this area live in fear. We're making some adjustments. I have brought out a security company, and we will be looking at installing some surveillance cameras in the area. Hopefully we can commence that project next week. We will also be putting in a motorcycle patrol and other features to make sure that we make the area more safer for the people who live here. I have also given certain instructions. I will not say publicly to my commanders in terms of what I expect from them likewise. But it cannot be that gang members must be allowed to move around freely. The police must do more to ensure that these gang members who are committing these heinous acts understand that they don't run things. Because it's not like we don't have police in the area, we do. But the police are too friendly with the same people who they commit the crime. That can't continue. So there's going to be a change in terms of how the police operate in the area. We also want to contact BL because one of the issues that residents are complaining of is that the streets are too dark. Even though you have some lights on some of the posts, the lights are those old-fashioned lights that are not bright. So we'll see if we can have BL change some of those lights, or all of them, to the LED type lights that will be able to make the area more brighter, and that may also serve as a deterrent.
Sir, from the energy I got from the meeting, we weren't in it, but the energy, I felt that it was you're very stern with your junior officers there. You're demanding a very high level of accountability and effectiveness.
Well, certainly I take my job very seriously, and I demand a lot from my own self. I can tell you I work 16, 18 hours a day, and sometimes I still feel like I have not done enough.
And if they fail to deliver after this clear and stern directive?
Then what they normally tell about me?
Boss Nancy.
Good, so you know, right?
Stay in your lane.
Okay, now how would you respond to the leader of the opposition, sir, Mr. Shine Barrow, has created a quite elaborate construction and ultimately is holding the state culpable for Mr. Na in multiple regards. You've heard his remarks. What's your response?
That he is not his father. His father is the attorney, not him. But he is on TV pretending to be an attorney, explaining things that he knows nothing about.
We take a break now. When we come back, we'll show you violent armed robbery in Punta Gorda. And 7 years later, a father continues to fight for justice for his son. Don't go away.
Atla Express es un
Belize, you're watching the Nation Station, Channel 7.
Punta Gorda's May Day supermarket became the victim of a robbery this afternoon at around 12 when two men in brown hoodies forced their way in and held the shopkeeper at gunpoint. And in this minute-long video obtained by 7 News, one of the gunmen can be heard cautioning the shopkeeper not to move after they pushed him to the ground, while encouraging his partner to move faster to grab the cash. He even calls him by a nickname that sounds to us like Latch. Here's a look at what happened. We warn you that, though, the video is somewhat violent. The robbers are said to have made off with between $1,000 and $2,000 in cash. At the end of April last year, Irving Timbrell, a pastor and senior public officer, made the news. That's when he and a group of like-minded citizens launched a protest in Belmopan to call out the police department for what he believes was a police cover-up that would deny his family justice. On May 1st of 2016, Timbrell lost his son, 25-year-old Akeem Timbrell, and nephew, 23-year-old Sean Lopez, to gun violence. Both were shot and killed near Timbrell's home in the village, and in the years that followed, Pastor Timbrell and his family have been closely watching the police investigation into the double murder of their loved ones. And today, they remain dissatisfied. That's because forensics testing confirmed that a police officer's weapon fired one of the shots that injured Akeem Timbrell on the night of the murder. In addition, the family says that a cell phone belonging to this same police officer, who was once a suspect, was found on the scene. The family insists that these are legitimate leads that the investigators are not meaningfully pursuing to get to the bottom of this crime. Today in Camalote, Pastor Timbrell spoke to Daniel Ortiz. Here are his comments of frustration.
You know, I've been after this for a long time, for a very long time. This is years now, it's going for 7 years. The last time I sat down with the police, he opened the file and he started to read from the file some of the things that he was seeing in the file. But one thing jumped out at me that I was never aware of before, that he mentioned that there was a phone found on the scene.
Of the crime?
Of the crime. There was a phone that was found. The police got the phone, and then they took the phone to BTL. They opened the phone, and they were able to see communication between the owner of that phone and the persons who they were suspect in the crime. Now, that owner of that phone is a police officer, somebody who was a suspect from the outset. He was a suspect from the very outset. So now, I was told that when he said that he loaned this other individual the phone, another suspect in the case.
One suspect loaned another suspect
the phone.
And that phone was found on the scene.
On the scene. Now, I asked the officer, I said, then how come these two people walk away from this? Because they had to be brought in front of each other and questioned. Because obviously, and I will tell you something else, that particular officer, we have a sworn statement, a voice recording of somebody who watched that officer, that same suspected officer, get into that vehicle the day that the incident occurred.
Seems to be a legitimate thread to pull on. What is the difficulty?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Because another piece of information I was told confidentially by somebody, and I asked the person, the information that you're disclosing to me now, can I go publicly and say it? And he said, yes, no problem. What did he tell me? That he was at a location where this said guy, who is one of the main suspects, who was the owner of the licensed weapon that they found the slugger from in my son's arm, that person was at a location in Kamalote where they were having an activity. Now, the officer told me, he said, if that officer, because the person who told me was a corporal of police, so if that corporal of police would be willing to come forward and say that on the record, that will then give them information to be able to issue a warrant to arrest the person. Well, the officer just basically, when I went back to him, he said, I don't want to get involved. My question to him was, but how can you say you don't want to get involved? You're a corporal of police. How can you not get involved with something like this? You are supposed to uphold the law.
Pastor Timbrell also had a few words to share with the general public about remaining silent when police, who should be upholders of the law, are the suspects in terrible crimes like this one. He said that these types of issues should be everyone's concern and not just victims who are suffering.
I just like to say to the public that as you sit and watch idly while you think that it is only my business, and why am I being so persistent and insistent in all of this? I was a teacher for many years. I'm a pastor. I'm a Belizean patriot. I love my country. And the more people sit down without saying anything about things like these, it is given wings for further similar incidences to occur. This is all our business. Today it's my turn, and from that 7 years ago until now, many of you who felt that it was only my business, you're in the same boat with me now. Those who are watching, I urge you for us to come together in unison and make a concerted announcement that we don't want this to continue and that something should be done.
Dr. Fernando Cuellar, he's one of the most vocal and outspoken medical professionals, but he really surged to prominence during COVID when his warnings were direct, dire, and plain-spoken. And while his blunt public health communication may have saved many lives, he wasn't himself spared from the clutches of COVID, and that led to a diabetes spiral which resulted in the amputation of his left big toe. And on Wellness Wednesday, when he joined our Son of hosts on the green couch, he told them that doctors don't often live up to their own advice.
And I had the correct one to talk about this because I recently went through a medical condition where depended a lot of a poor lifestyle and the jam and the work and not take care of myself.
What happened?
So,
Do you mind sharing?
After that COVID thing I had, both my parents were diabetic, so I was a pre-diabetic. COVID and the use of the steroids made me a full-fledged diabetic. Now I use insulin. And about 2 months ago, I injured my toe, and it get infected terribly. And I'm more sexier now because I got 9 toes. They had to amputate one.
You're one of a
Really?
kind.
Yes, the big toe, the left big toe.
So there's one toe they amputate? I didn't even know a thing, you know.
Yeah, we have to amputate one. What do you mean just one toe?
But you know,
No, but
doctors
one toe.
Yeah,
That one, my left big toe too. So I look quite sexy now with nine toes.
But you have a, you know, get like a little prosthetic toe.
Not yet. The wound still know that, and I don't know if I can do that because I'm fairly okay. But it landed me in the hospital almost 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
And care at home, and I'm still just about 80% recovered. But God, I mean, I say, you lay down in a bed every day and say, every day you're on this thing you tell people what to do, and you know, they do it yourself.
Just, you know, another thing that like,
And
take
all
a
the way human,
spot or something like that.
spot but I got testimonial, that's what they call it, testimonial, and more empathy now for take care of people, no?
And then the thing is with diabetes, Doc, and I really would like you because there's a lot of Belizeans that are on their way to diabetes
Or are diabetic.
And, you know, it's really a lifestyle choice that you have, a big one too as well. Can you
I've
talk
lost
about that?
24 pounds, almost 25 pounds in 2 months.
Wow.
With just taking better care of myself. Egg and beans, you can't go wrong with egg and beans and can't hurt it. I want apple. I just had my apple on my way here. Okay. And you manage, and you feel so much more healthier, no?
Okay.
I joke with them boy yesterday that first I had to, like, the thing about how I scratch my big toe. Like you have to think about that and go sideways, and so now you could just slip up your foot and touch your big toe.
There you go. But you know, you feel the comfort when you start feeling better, right?
More energy, more your brain much more clearer.
But get the,
You know,
you don't get diabetes
like,
still, no?
like feel like you make out that, well, we all did feel like we make out that steel and iron, no? And unfortunately, it takes some real click in our life to make you realize where they're going, no?
At the start of the news, we had the latest police information on the investigation into the murders of brothers Kevin and John Ramnareys. But while the cops look for more clues, the Belmopan community is looking for healing as it tries to comprehend the events of New Year's Eve on Belen Street. They're also trying to nurse their trauma to get over a deep imprint of grief left by the loss of two boys who the community watched grow up. They did that this evening with a walk for peace, which started at 5:30 near their home in Maya Mopan, and it ended at the Sir George Brown Field. That's where the officer commanding lamented the circulation of the video, which showed the horrible double murder and promised residents that justice will be served. We have his remarks courtesy Plus TV.
I am saddened by such tragedy. I am even more saddened because the entire country had to see how the ordeal unfolded. I know that there is a lot of questions. I know that there is a lot of concerns. But I want to assure you that your Belmopan police will continue to work closely with you all to ensure that incidents such as these and all other incidents are dealt with and that justice is served.
The Ramnareys family is still working to raise funds for Vivian Belize Ramnareys' recovery, and you can find that GoFundMe page on the 7 News Facebook page. And that's all we have for you for tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indira Craig. Remember, you can find a full transcript of the news at 7newsbelize.com and see streaming video on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Cherie Salsa will be here tomorrow, and I'll be seeing you back here on Monday. So until then, have a great night.